From the Oklahoman newsroom, this is an OU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Ryan Aber. Ryan, life without Jordan Woodard is now in full swing for the Sooners. We've now seen them play twice without Woodard on the court, a win against Texas and a near win at OSU. The Sooners might have played their best ball in a while against the Cowboys. What have you seen out of this team now that they're without Woodard?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you look at they're obviously not getting a lot of offensive scoring production from their point guards now without Jordan Woodard. So Jordan Shepherd, Darion Strongmore, those guys aren't going to score a lot. Strongmore can score at times on the floor, but Shepherd's been the guy who's been on the floor more recently. But they're finding ways to get other guys involved. Christian Doolittle continues to progress. Didn't have the best game on Saturday against Stillwater. Cam McGusty has been solid, but to have the performances from a couple of unexpected guys that were expected to be big parts of this team but haven't been, Christian James and Dante Buford on Saturday were bright spots for Oklahoma.
Well, let's talk a little bit about those guys because James was expected to sort of fill that star role that was left by the departure of Buddy Hield and Isaiah Cousins, Ryan Spangler. Maybe that's asking too much, but his trajectory was really pointing up. We really haven't seen that production. Did you see something change in him these last two games?
Yeah, well, I think especially that game Saturday against Texas, he struggled again. He was when you look back at I think it was the 6 games ending with that Texas game, he was 4 of his last 30 from the field. So just really scuffling. He was really good early in the season when Oklahoma was rolling along pretty well. Then he just fell off a cliff. Hadn't had a double-digit scoring performance since the 13th or 12th game of the season. He'd scored 10 in double digits, 10 of their first 12 games. But he was really good the other night. I think he was 500 from the field, made a couple three-pointers, 2 of 4 from behind the arc. So really got going, and that's something to really look forward to. If Christian James can snap back and play not even the star level that we thought he'd be before the season, but just be a solid role player off the bench like he was for this team last March, then that makes this team a whole lot better now and certainly in the future.
Obviously, Jordan Woodard didn't want his senior year to end the way it did, but he did say after the injury that these games, these final regular season games and how many ever games the Sooners play in the Big 12 tournament could be really beneficial for this team. It looks like that's coming to pass. What do you, if you're in Lon Kruger's shoes, what do you want to see this last month or so of the season? Well,
here's what I'd like to see. I would like to see Christian James snap out of his slump and stay out of it and show that he can shoot the way we thought he could shoot. I want to see consistent production out of Kadeem Latin defensively, especially with the blocking shots, the rebounding, the things we've seen from him a little bit recently, and Jamuni McNeese to continue progressing. Jamuni McNeese has been fantastic a couple times recently. He was really good again against Oklahoma State. If he can get stronger on the boards especially, he's going to be a force for this team in the future. And then the other thing I'd like to see is Cameron McGusty to improve defensively. We saw him have 5 steals in that win against Texas, took a little bit of a step back against Oklahoma State, but his offensive game, it's going to be hard to find holes in, but defensively he needs to take a step forward, and I expect he will from his freshman to his sophomore season.
Lastly, you mentioned earlier that point guard position not producing a lot of points now. But Thursday we found out the guy who will probably be producing more points next year, Trae Young, announcing he's going to be a Sooner, commits to the Sooners, stays home. The McDonald's All-American, one of the best players in the country, arguably second best point guard in the country. How does that change things? I mean, Sooners can't talk about this until he signs, and that's a ways off.
Yeah.
But do you sense that adding something even behind closed doors to this team?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, he's going to change the complexion of this team next year without question. And I think the biggest thing that he does is he's going to bring the scoring punch. We saw it the last couple years with Woodard and Cousins being able to score off the point, but they weren't nearly the shooter that this guy is coming out of high school. And I think what that's going to do is it's going to find more room for Cam McGusty to work on the wings, for him to get to the bucket. It's going to find more room for Rashard Odoms to play around with. And we saw on Saturday another reminder of how athletic Rashard Odoms is and his ability to make plays, and then also Christian Doolittle. So I think as far as spacing, this completely changes the game for them. And Lon Kruger's teams have been fun to watch for a long time. They've even been fun to watch this year, as bad as their record has been. But next year, I think, is going to bring that back to what it was the last few years with Buddy Hield, Isaiah Cousins, etc.
All right, lots of intrigues left for the Sooners this season. Tuesday night, they go to Baylor. Saturday, they host K-State. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.